Speaking of rain, sometimes you may not even realize it, that you haven't really checked, or even if you have kind of a newer home, sometimes things do happen that causes leaks in your home, especially if it's a really hard rain. You may not have had any trouble before. It may have been something that had been exacerbated over a period of time and finally starting to cut loose. So here with me from Paul Davis Restoration of Santa Clarita Valley is Joel Moss. Good morning, Joel. Glad to have you back.
Good morning, George, and Happy New Year. It's been a couple of weeks since we've hung out in the morning.
That's true. And I want to talk about this because, and mentioning new homes, and everybody thinks that, hey, it's all done. I don't have to worry about any leaks for years and years and years. But they're not. First of all, they're not always, or sometimes things happen where you don't find out until there's a storm that maybe something wasn't fit together right or something like that. So that's something you should always kind of check out, especially before it starts raining, correct?
Well, it's difficult. You'd like to think you bought a new home and it's going to be in good working order forever, but forever has different lengths of time. So it's very interesting. But there's also this thing called maintenance, and a lot of the newer homes have gutters. We've got tile roofs and steel in the valleys, and these areas tend to collect leaves, especially if you're in an area that has a lot of trees or pine needles or things of that nature, and these can get into the gutters and back up that system, and then the water gets back underneath the black paper and underneath the shingles. If debris gets up in those valley areas, then the water, there's not enough clearance on either side where the tiles are, then the debris gets stuck and it water backs up and then soaks up underneath the black paper that they put down to keep the water from shedding properly.
And even talking about drainage, if you've got a finished hardscape in your backyard or even front yard, if that's not clear as well and you start building up, water can actually seep in through the floors as well. I've had that happen in a house before. That's why I know that's a potential thing.
Yeah, that's definitely a real thing. The way that homes are designed is that all of the water that comes into the backyard is supposed to go into the drain and then drain out into the street. You don't want it going over the hillside or into the neighbor's yard. We've got a couple of projects right now where the hardscape was put up above the sill plate, and that water's intruding between that area and just coming right inside the home, or it's up too close to the weep screed, which is designed to shed water when it rains and the stucco gets saturated. So there's a lot of things that could be happening, and it's hard for people who aren't in the industry to identify those things.
So I'd say definitely before it gets too rainy, which is coming up tomorrow, if you have time today, just double check that. Check your drains, check your especially your gutters. I know living in Old Orchard over there off of Orchard Village Road, and almost every tree or every yard, like mine included, almost the tallest liquid amber tree. Fortunately, we had them trimmed this year, but every year I would have like a foot of leaves in my front yard and have to clean those out, and a lot of other neighbors do too. And those homes are now in those neighborhoods 50 years old this year. So we talk about new homes, we talk about older homes as well, and especially those that some still have shake shingle roofs on them. Those are things to kind of consider, not only for the fire danger, but also they're old. They were probably put on originally, or maybe replaced in the 70s or 80s, but even still, we can't replace with shake roofs at all anymore, right?
No, those have all pretty much been outlawed, unless you've got like a HPOZ, which I don't think we have any of those areas in this neck of the woods. Yeah, there's still some. We looked at one last week in the valley, and they still got the wood shake roof. It's like a time capsule. I mean, beautiful ranch-style home and in a beautiful pocket of San Fernando Valley. But, those shingles, if they break or split or get blown away, then they leave voids in the system and water comes into the house. So,
and not only from just that physical damage from the water, but ultimately that could cause, if you haven't noticed it for years and years, we're then talking about a mold remediation issue possibly down the road. And that's a whole other can of worms that we have to think about, right?
Yeah, absolutely, George. What we do for those situations is right now we've been tarping a lot of roofs. So if you see a house with a blue tarp on it, chances are Paul Davis has been there. We also, if trees or go through the roof, we can get those covered up for temporary repairs, keep the rain out. When rain does get in through the roof, it tends to saturate the insulation in the attic space and hold the water, and sometimes it doesn't come all the way through to create a leak into the home area. But over time, it will erode that drywall, and yes, you will end up with microbial issues.
Joel Moss, Paul Davis, Restoration of Santa Clarita Valley. What is the best way to reach you if anyone has questions about maybe there's either something they don't want to do themselves maintenance-wise, or if they've had something that happened, whether it's rain or fire flood, anything else?
Well, certainly you can call our office line at 661-310-0884, 24 hours a day. Typically, we live answer that phone. You can also look us up on the web at santaclarita.pauldavis.com.
And also link over probably from our website, hometownstation.com as well. Paul Davis, Restoration Services, Joel Moss. Thank you so much for stopping by. Always a pleasure and very informative and always educational. So for all your needs.